welcome. This is Real and Raw. I'm Lynn Serrano, and you are? Hello. Hello.
Oh, hey, you don't have to yell.
Okay.
I'm Brian Kelm. Happy to be here.
Hey, Brian. Gosh, so I had some wind going on, and I thought I set the program to go, and I didn't check it, and oh well.
Don't
So
rely on technology.
yeah, right. I know we expect a certain standards, and that's it. So I thought I was going to go in and I'd send you the link this morning, and I didn't check, and I'm like, I forgot what happened last night. So
If
anyways,
it were up to me, we go back to 2 styrofoam cups and a string in between. That's where we go.
but Brian, we wouldn't reach the people we're reaching now, so you can't go back that way.
You would just have to have more string and more cups.
I guess there's always two ways of looking at
that,
things.
Remember that exercise? Like if, maybe you've done it, maybe you haven't, but growing up as a child, like communication, right?
Yeah. Somebody says a couple things, and by the time it gets to the end, it's all effed up.
Oh yeah, and it's just like in full transparency, I may have been that person that kind of took it.
Well, they told you one thing, and you obviously changed it on purpose.
Oh no, I just whatever they told me, I disregarded and made my own stuff.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Who did this?
It wasn't me, even though I look as guilty as all get out.
Oh yeah, and that was before I knew I could get away with it.
I know, pretty funny.
It's like, and then after I did it the first time, I'm like, all right, I can do this. But it really doesn't further the point, that the teacher or whatever's trying to make.
Yeah. Our StreamYard's flickering. I mean, hopefully that's not. I can hear you good, and there's no delay that way. So
I thought that was just the cough drop I had this morning. That's what I thought it was. Whoa. What's in that raspberry cough drop?
Oh, was it a Mento and some Pepsi?
No.
Oh,
does that work? I might have to try that.
I wouldn't try it in your mouth. That's for damn sure. Oh. Hey, you go watch YouTube, man. You'll find out that is not a good thing to try.
I get a very bad visual, like dead seagulls after some Alka-Seltzer. It's like carnage and chaos and horror everywhere.
Oh my God. Oh shit! Eagles, stay away from Brian's area. You might get some ideas.
Oh, seagulls, but yeah. In full transparency, when I was on the beach at Camp Pendleton, California, I tried to take rocks and throw them at seagulls. So.
Yeah,
they were hit a damn thing, because the old arm doesn't work like it used to.
Not only that, they're probably faster than you could imagine.
Oh heck yeah! It's like
that asshole's gonna throw something.
Oh no! Yeah, he's got that look on him like he's a no, stay away from him.
Yeah.
It's like a bouncer at a bar. It's like that guy's gonna cause some problems here tonight. The seagulls know the same thing as the bouncer does. I don't know how that works.
It's called vibrations, Ryan. It's called vibrations.
I needed to start taking notes. I need to.
Oh man!
So, thanks to all of our viewers, all of our loyalists, and anybody that is catching this on the replay. We're happy to have you a part of our community. Every day, Lynn and I talk about various topics. We don't have a script besides, the title of this. We don't have any notes, no nothing. So it's real and raw, and we just go with what we have, and it feels great because that matches our personalities.
Yeah, and we have fun doing it though too.
Oh, yeah.
If we can make you guys laugh, we're all for it.
Because if I had to remember all of this before I actually said it, I might no, that won't.
Right, you might barf on yourself or diarrhea on yourself.
There's enough to try to remember lines a part of a theater show or something. Good Lord, I don't want this to be one of those, right?
Oh yeah, shoot, I'd be out of it. I would not be here if that were the case. That's for damn sure. I look like a hot mess today, but you know what? When you come out of the wind, this is what you look like. I look like I got a Justin Bieber look. I need to get my bags all organized.
Where are your tattoos on your neck and your $5 million necklace?
No playing for me like that, even if I had the money.
You would actually have gold on the top of your microphone if you were Justin Bieber.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, for sure.
Out of all the things, out of all the priorities in somebody's life, I have to have a gold microphone.
Yeah, well, and it'd probably be perfect purple. There'd be some purple in there too. Hi, Tracy.
Yeah. Oh,
Good
yeah.
morning.
And the gold microphone, but then with a purple windscreen. There we go.
Yeah,
Right?
there you go. Yeah, for sure. I got to figure out, do they make one of those?
Yeah, they do. They do.
Oh, do they?
Yeah.
Now why'd you have to do that? Because now I'm gonna have to go get one.
Why?
Because it's purple.
Tracy, by the way, thank you for being a part of our program. We appreciate it.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So today's topic is engaged couples, the only combo that works.
Yeah.
Power versus
Yeah.
connection.
This is something that, in full transparency, this concept, it might even be more, but Mel Robbins, she wrote the 5-second rule. And after hearing this message, I don't know if it's a TED talk or whatever, but it's been in some of her work, is that relationships, intimate relationships, boil down to these two things: power and connection. And I think it's a very important thing to talk about when we're dealing with engaged couples. We set the stage that they're getting married. They're at the beginning of the process. Maybe they moved in, and where are they? You know what I mean? Like, if you know, and the research that she's done is that everybody in a relationship, or everybody assumes one of these roles, right? Because of who they are. I mean, like opposites attract, that kind of thing. And I find it very fascinating, that out of those two options, only one of those actually works for the long term. Only one of those combination of options works for
Well,
the long term.
there's people that are a lot alike that are married too, and I don't know how that really works sometimes. But
Right.
I mean, I guess there's harmony in that,
Right.
being around somebody that but you could be too opposite that there's friction there, and that's not good either.
Right.
You
Yeah.
could be the opposite. You really need to be attracted to the opposite to make it work. Yep. But some people think that, oh, but we're opposite, so it's going to work. Not necessarily. If you don't have that communication,
Yep.
and giving the, taking turns. Well, I don't know why I thought this, but it's just like I always try to figure out, in the business that I was in, people get into all this S&M and all this other, uh, dominatrix and submissive and all this, and it's like, you got to give and play, but who's actually winning here? It's such a mental dance. I think it's almost the same thing saying here, because somebody submissive, every now and then they want the power. Mm-hmm. So I mean, it's I'm talking about that stuff, but it's true. Like, I can't ever figure it out because, it's like, oh no, you can make a decision of that because later I'm going to make a decision of this. So it's like, it's pretty kind of not messing with my friends that are into SMA and the bondage stuff, but there is give and take there, and it's like,
And so let me just set an understanding is that now, obviously, we're only speaking from a context. We're not speaking for everybody's situation because that's going to be impossible, right? But everybody can get a grip and a grasp of what we're sharing here. Is that in every relationship, there is a dynamic for somebody to assume the power perspective and somebody to assume the connection perspective, right? That they're driven by their DNA, how they're wired is by power. Their style of personality, who they are, can contribute to that, their upbringing, what they had to go through. But then another person is connection, the one that affection, relatedness, quality time, right? When they're not working, they're having fun. They're around people. They love each other. They're sharing in life moments, right? And so when she went through the combination of these, it's like there is only one of those that actually works for the long term. So when we take two people of power, let's just break these down and gather your thoughts as we go along, is when two people are in a power position, right? Now, this is something that comes to a head when people have issues, right? It makes sense after you've been a part of a relationship that applies to this, and you wonder why it didn't work, right? I'm going to share an experience about how this concept or this understanding has affected how I look at relationships. I think that there's a lot of components with the 5 love languages by Dr. Chapman, and But let's just break apart all of these combinations and have a little discussion. So when two people are in a power position, right? What does that mean? It means that they're always, they're driven by work. They're driven by abundance, wealth, money, whatever that is. But they're always working, right? There's a status that they have to maintain, whatever that looks like, right? Now, when you have two people like that, are they like-minded because they're in a power position? Yeah, but they're always working. They're always trying to find the next thing. Where is there any time to connect as human beings, right? And so, is that a healthy position? Perhaps it could be, but there may not be romance. There might not be connection. There might not
Yeah.
be love. I mean, it is there. The foundation is based on outside circumstances, work, money, whatever it is. And if that's your deal, that's okay. But if you don't have value, romance, love, affection, Jerry, thanks for being here.
Hi, Jerry.
It just, you're always chasing something, but then when you get to that something, then you're not fulfilled, right? So maybe that word is lack of fulfillment amongst people of power, right? Two like-minded people of power, they're never fulfilled, and so it's a pipe dream. They move on to the next deal, the next house, the next whatever, and they still wonder why when they get there that they're not fulfilled, right? That's why, some of the most powerful people on the planet with money galore are not happy, right? They're not fulfilled. Who knows if they fell into that trap that, ooh, when I do this, then I'll have that, right? So what are your thoughts on the power versus power related relationship?
Well, I mean, power to power, you're somebody's got to give, and even if it's, what is it, 49 to 51 or whatever, there has to be a break or a turn, a compromise, or a realization that what is your position? Are you going to be always, again, back to what I said earlier about bondage? Are you going to be submissive to that person? I mean, is that relationship value to you to compromise or to, waver against it, go with it? But again, that's something that if you set to a standard or to conform to the situation, you put yourself in the corner of being in that position for the rest of your life in that relationship.
Yeah.
So again, without the communication and the fact of putting yourself in a relationship where it's not feeding what you need in it, I mean, you have to reconsider how much of a power are you letting power be more at work and not at home.
Yeah.
And that's usually what happens to people. If they're at power positions, when they're home, they want to be more subdued and more subservient and that kind of thing. If they don't have any power at work and they're just a follower or a sheep or whatever you want to call it, then at home they want to be dominant. So I mean, because believe it or not, I mean, even face reading, you got one side is your outer and one's your personal. We have two sides of ourselves. We have the outer exterior and we have the internal. And so at home you're more internal, but is that work for who you are, which again gives the people balance in who they are. At work they're the type A, at home they're not as type A. I mean, there truly is two different demeanors of you that need to be fulfilled. But if that's why sometimes there's that work relationships that happen, because they like the level of whatever to that relationship, whereas outside of work, those don't they're not successful because it's from that daytime. You can't have 24/7 without it. With Everything is a positive and a negative. I mean, everything has, it's just not all good and it's not all just bad. It's just finding that equal measurement of balance. So, that's my 2 cents on that.
Two things that come to mind is sacrifice, right? What are you willing to sacrifice? Like, I'm talking about specific intimate relationships, engaged couples, right? Because you are the way that you are, but now you have this person in your life that you're going to potentially spend the rest of your life with, right? What are you going to do to sacrifice the way you were for who you're becoming? Right? Because you now care for this other person. You have responsibilities of not, paying your bills and doing all these things that you had before, but now it's in a different way. Right? And number two is, how do you shut it off? Where whatever, and I've struggled with this over the years, is like, okay, because I'm self-employed, I can work from anywhere at any given time for as long as I want to. But when do you shut it off? Because if you don't shut it off or determine when that is, you're going to keep working. You're probably going to get ill. You're probably going to be unhealthy. And you're probably going to have people, anybody that is in your life from an intimate standpoint is probably not going to be around for very long if you stick with that way of doing things. So the sacrifice you're making, and it's like, I can only imagine the amount of mental problems or the amount of stress or anxiety or years taken off of somebody's life if they're always in a power position all the time, every day, no matter if they're home or at work. Right? I mean, being a planner and being a designer of weddings, sometimes, people ask me to, hey, plan this gathering for me. And it's like a personal friend, which I want to help them. But it's like, man, could somebody just decide something without me here? Like, you know what I mean? Like, my brain is tapped out and I just want to be an enjoyer of this. I don't want to have to create it. Right? Can you just figure it all out and just invite me? Right? And it's not like I want to get out of any responsibility or duties, but eventually that there's only so much matter up in my brain that allows me to do what I do, just like
Yeah,
anybody else,
and this is the problem people are having. They as much as I want you on Clubhouse, I'm just being really candid with you.
I know.
This is the problem. Is Clubhouse is a can of worms. Clubhouse is developing some real, true relationships and friendships and business partners and all this, but in doing that, they have neglected the things they have currently.
Yep.
And I'm unless you're going to morph your life totally different after this pandemic, you're forgetting that you need to be a part of your present life. And I mean, there's people on there for 12, 14 freaking hours. Like yeah, make all your freaking connections and blah blah blah, but don't expect to have the life you had before that, because I see some of these relationships, being put on the back burner. Oh, I'm doing this for you. I'm doing this for you. But I'm truly I'm truly
Yeah.
finding that, I mean, shit, I'm single. I could spend a lot of time over there if I want to, and I don't even do that. I mean, the bottom line is that a lot of people are hurting. A lot of people are hurting and going to something else that's helping them right now, but it's not curing the freaking band-aid of everything else. It's just like I said yesterday. People are looking, or the day before, I don't know when it was, but the point is the story's still the same.
Yeah.
People are looking for band-aids to fix something, but looking for another course to do, looking for this and that. Why don't you freaking just take evaluation of where you're at before you add something else on your plate? And I mean, I'm the same one. I've paid for courses I haven't even done, but I've got them if I need them,
Me
and
too.
sometimes that's a great investment. But what I'm saying to you is, where are you going to stop and figure out what you're doing, and do something about it? Hey, beautiful. I hope everything's going okay in Texas. She had like 16 pipes go out on her house and flooded, and you've been in my thoughts. And I'm not doing my other show because I have people in Dallas and Texas that are suffering. So your thoughts are with me.
Yeah.
But seriously, we're having situations where people are just not getting the fact that um, we need to clean up what we're doing. And if you're going to take a different angle or a different way of taking care of things, you better clean up what you're doing, because when you turn around, you're going to realize you have a freaking big mess. I mean, I hear people talking on there and their kids are running around. They're sorry, we got the kids around. I'm like, oh shit, I remember those days when I had my kids around running around. By the time I looked, paid attention to them, oh, I paid, man. House was a freaking mess. I had things broken, things messed and spoiled. And who do I have to blame? Moi. Mwah, 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 mwah. You
Yeah.
know?
And it's like, let's keep this in mind. I mean, I'm not on Clubhouse, but I just sit back and I observe,
Uh,
and it's like, am I missing out? Perhaps, but I got enough on my freaking plate, right?
right.
Like, let's
And
just
that's
be
why I'm
fully
not pushing
honest.
it. Yeah.
And so, and it's like, let's not, no matter how successful and how many people you meet or whatever, this is just my position, right?
Yeah. Right.
That is in addition to what we already have to deal with in life, like our
Yeah.
workflow, who we need to serve, the things that we need to do, projects we're accountable to, shows we need to produce, whatever our workflow is and all that we're accountable to. This is in addition to that.
Right.
So either you allocate and make it definitive in terms of how much time you're going to allocate towards it, or if it's open, well, then there's no cap. And it's at the sacrifice of those people, that work related, family. I just, man, I mean, it's very easy to make excuses after you're in it, because now you're addicted to it. You're,
Yeah.
it's your fix.
Yeah.
But also, though, let's look at it from a standpoint of, what are you neglecting? What don't you want to look at in life? Now,
Well,
I'm sure that there's terms out there, that talk about, like whether it's pornography or whatever, where instead of dealing with situations that people have in life, they
they
resort to gambling or pornography, or even the case of
compound.
social
Yeah.
media. And I
Yep.
don't know what that phobia is or whatever that condition is, but this day and age, just spend endless amounts of hours on a platform. Great. How you use your time is strictly up to you, right? I
Well,
don't know that world.
you want to know what's real funny is some people go, "Oh, I get so much shit done while I'm on Clubhouse. I clean. I can take this app anywheres." Yeah, but yeah, that's not all true. I mean, yeah, you can go potty while you're there, and you can go do your dishes and fold your clothes, but that shit only takes a few minutes. There's a lot of other shit you ain't doing. I mean, maybe you have a clean house and listen to Clubhouse,
Well,
but there's not phone calls you're making or taking care of the
well,
relationships you got.
and then even a statement like that, to me, it's like, why do you have to justify where you are?
Right?
You know what I
Right?
mean? Like, there's a justification that somebody needs to prove that this isn't an issue.
Yeah.
And I wasn't there. I don't know the person, but it's like, just by somebody saying that to me, what are you covering up? What are you resisting?
Well,
Why would you have to say something like that if you're just on Clubhouse?
yeah, right.
You
I mean,
know?
if you want to be on Clubhouse and that's what you're going to do all day, go stick with it, but again, I see a lot of people spending a lot of time there that are lost, man. And I mean, I go there looking for, to help out people, I do some coaching or whatever that, but what I realized for me, for my weight loss now is I got to get sleep. I got to lay down and,
Absolutely.
my arthritis, I'm okay if I'm laying down, but if I'm sitting in this chair for 2 hours, it's hard for me to walk. It's like, oh no, I'm getting my water in, I'm sleeping. It's just the simple things I need to do and the weight's coming off.
Well,
So
and to be fully transparent and vulnerable with everybody, is that I once this gets turning up here, it doesn't matter what time of the morning. If I've got 4 hours of sleep or 6 hours of sleep, I wake up and I pay for it throughout the day, because I might not be the nicest person to myself, right? I
for
make
the people that
myself
you love,
proud. What's that?
for the people that you love.
Absolutely. And it's I'm not doing it consciously. I'm doing it
No,
subconsciously, but
right,
it doesn't make any difference.
right,
When you hurt
exactly.
somebody's feelings, or when you're short with somebody, that's a behavior that is a choice, regardless if you're aware of it. But
Yeah.
when I started getting better sleep, and I mean, I think I'm on 5 days of no less than 7 or 7.5 hours of sleep.
Oh, and I could tell.
It,
I love you, Brian.
I mean, I don't make shoddy decisions with food. I make sure my
Yeah,
exercise is on point. I'm a lot more focused about what I need to do, and really squeezing out every day of productivity and value I can get out of it.
right.
And I'm happier. My mindset is neutral or above, versus it being like, well, I just hope I can get through the day.
Dude, I tell you what, when I get my sleep, and I have a thing for sugar, I ain't gonna lie. I don't eat a lot, but the quality I eat would be sugar. like, I'll have some cookies or freaking tea with freaking 8 spoons of sugar, and it said, Lynn, that's killing me. But that's if I don't sleep. So I'm like, no. I don't think like that when I get my sleep. I'm like, oh hell no, you got weight to lose. You can't have that. I'm like, okay, there's my water. But if I don't, I'm serious. I'm like, really? You want to go get a McFlurry?
McFlurry.
Like I'm saying, it's just It truly is, and that's just it. You can't leave it up to your subconscious. You have to set yourself up to not fail. And the way you don't fail is by taking care of the things. Uh, it's no wonder I'm so sweet. Yeah, well, the secret's out.
Oh. Sugar in, sugar out.
Yeah, that's it. That's my secret. Oh, but no, seriously,
The secret is she's a sweet tooth and she's so sweet.
Yeah. So no, hey, it's better than eating bitter shit and being bitter, right?
If they correlate that way,
Yeah. But no, seriously, it's one of those things where you need to set yourself up. I mean, like the other day, I went ahead and I made like prepped up 9 meals. It's got chicken and stir fry vegetables, and now I'm trying to feed some to my granddaughter too, so it doesn't go to waste. But I'm
Grandma,
counting
where's
these
the cookies?
Yeah, no, I don't have the cookies here. But when I went to my daughter's house the other day to see my grandson, oh shit, I ate some of her sweets. She's on a keto diet, so the sweets is all available for me.
Grandma, I'll take a McFlurry if you go there with me.
So, anyways, but so that's why I don't visit my daughter often. No, just kidding. Explain that to my grandkids. No, just kidding. But seriously,
it will be ruined forever from grandma.
Oh no, right? But no, seriously, it's one of those things. Besides, Rayleigh's birthday's on Thursday. I'm going to buy some cake, and I'm going to eat a piece of cake. But I'm going to buy the smallest freaking cake again.
No, this may not be true, but the first thing I hear when you say that is you're going to get her the cake with all the colors and the princess or whatever. But then you're going to buy a small cake for yourself and justify it that it's like, well.
No, I can't do that. I would be able to used to, but now sugar, like I can't do that. Like buttercream frosting was like such a level of sweetness. I was like, oh shit, give me some frosting and a little bit of cake. Oh, but now I'm like, how the hell did I eat that shit? But so yeah. But anyways, again, that back to the story here of power struggle. I mean, power struggle could be such a mind thing. I mean, you got to be mindful of where you're at and how.
And it blows my doors off about how and I'm not this type of person, so I and I have no examples in my life to pull from, but of what that day to day looks like of two people in a power position that are together intimately. What affection do you have? What do you talk about that is of feelings or of how, you want to watch a movie tonight or go date night? What is date night? Is everybody going to be looking at their phone trying to make the next deal or try to get the reports off, or are they actually going to take time for each other?
Well, there is a point of a lot of competitiveness among the couple, and some of it's healthy and some of it's not healthy, because some people need to have the last word, having the last word and having the fact that I got to get in my way. There's a big power play in couples of who, guys want to be dominant or women want to be dominant over the men. I mean, there's definitely, some testosterone overload on somebody's part, and it really can hinder a relationship whatsoever. I mean, they totally don't see that they think it's black and white, and it's not.
Well, and I would hate for the perception to show up for either of those people that they don't perceive that person as their lover.
Yeah. Well,
because they don't, that their mind is not on that. I mean, their DNA may not allow them to see that, but it's like, if it's not, that competition, right? Where do you find competition? Sporting events, work, sales, but do you compete with a loved one? Do you compete with your spouse?
Well,
it doesn't seem like those two go together very well if it's going to be healthy.
Well, sometimes people conform. Like they may have a guy friend that they end up being good friends / marrying them because they're like, shit, this is better than what's out there, or the fact that they don't like the friction. I mean, it just depends on past experiences and where you want to go in your next experience. That, it's one of those things where there's so many different motives and different ways to look at it. So let's look at connection.
Yep. So the next piece, so we just talked about power versus power, and I can speak to the next one from firsthand experience, because after I heard about this understanding from Mel Robbins, I applied this whole thing, this whole thought process to my relationship of 4 years when I moved down to the suburbs of Chicago. Power versus connection. So if one person's of power and another person's of another person is of connection, what does that relationship look like? And the best thing I can say is it looks like a V. Is that you start
Like
the
a funnel?
relation? No, like a V. Like a V that veers off.
Yeah.
Is that, or a funnel? It could be. Is that the time in the beginning of the relationship is where your palms meet, right? That's where the honeymoon phase is, where everything is great and you're all fun. But then after things get serious and you start to perceive this person, maybe you move in, everything changes, and then all of a sudden it's like, and I identified with this after I was already broken up, as painful as it was. But this concept right here made all the sense to me in the world, that it's like, okay, and you may not see it in the beginning. That's what we're talking about this today, is
Right.
that one person of power is always going to be a person of power. They're going to go this way. That person goes this way. Now you notice that at the very bottom of it, that's the closest you have. Obviously, if I put my hands closer, the degree changes. But it's like there's very little keeping you together, and there's more that is not keeping you together.
Right. A lot of friction in between.
And so all of those good times may be great, but they're usually in the beginning of the relationship. And then all of a sudden life happens and you start making commitments. Maybe you move, you sacrifice, but then there's a realization that it's like, whoa, the who this person is different from who I am, and what
Right.
I need to fulfill upon this, so that when I said in previous shows that anything I've done for my ex was not good enough, well, that makes sense, because I'm going this way. She's
Right.
going this way. I'm trying
Right.
to love her and care for her more and show her support and show her value and be there for her. But that's not in alignment with the person of power.
Right.
What they need is somebody that, is going to be different than who I am.
The
And
yes man.
a yes man, or somebody that is wealth, or, I mean, depending on
Yeah.
who the person is, I don't know what that power is, but it's like, it's going to be about work. It's going to be about degrees. It's going to be about status. And it's like, there's nothing wrong with that. But if you want to be in a relationship with somebody, that you're going to be the one that has to change a little bit, not them. The true power is to be strong enough to make a good kind, even when you choose otherwise. And I think that to be together and to belong is one thing. But when you realize, it's like, whoa, if I'm a person of connection and they're a person of power, I started to look at myself if I was doing it wrong, because however I was being wasn't good enough. And so this right here is the second of the three combinations that don't work
See,
in relationships.
and that's just it. People get attracted to each other, and then the logistics fall in,
Mm-hmm.
and then someone expects somebody to compromise when they're not even willing to compromise.
Yep.
And then lack of communication to get that perimeter. Again, people fall for, let's get married, let's get engaged. It's like, do you really want to deal with this? I mean, you know how many things you have on your list that don't work well for you?
Yeah.
It really is. It's like a buying power, buying a car or whatever. I mean, if you first buy a car, the first car I bought didn't have intermittent wipers. I was like, the next feature best have intermittent wipers, because I can't live without that shit. And if I bought a car that had every feature but that, and then I'm bitching later, who do I got to blame? I knew that wasn't an option.
Yeah.
And so again, it just, people don't realize some things are not an option for somebody you're dealing with.
Well,
Are you going to have somebody sit there? Oh, but I'll go out and wipe at every stop sign for you. I mean, come on. Some things you can't compromise. Once it's done, and you signed up for it.
well, and
And
I
then,
know, in my past that for the absence of where we didn't connect, I took it all upon myself and made myself wrong, that I was doing something wrong, or I wasn't working hard enough to try to please that other person.
no, it's called you
When
weren't compatible.
exactly correct. And so
Mm-hmm.
the harder I worked, it didn't change anything for her.
No shit. And it wasn't going to either.
Nope.
See, that's just it. That kind of person, that sometimes it goes to show how much does this person really love me? How much is this person really, and not that you should test the waters all the time, but there is, little things that you can find out. Are they willing to, just ask something out of the blue. If they say yeah, then like, oh, okay, that's good to know.
Yeah.
But it truly is there's so many compatibility check off list, I mean, not all true checklist is the same because you may have had an intermittent wiper vehicle and not realize how important it is to me because I didn't have it. I mean, damn, I get stuck on that analogy, but it's a freaking truth. I mean, okay, so I bought a car with intermittent wipers. The next one doesn't have it. You bet your ass I'm thinking about the next one. Why? Because I'm not happy with what I have consistency. And that too is the problem in relationships. People start thinking, well, I better go find another option somewhere else because this shit ain't working for me. So they stay all miserable. They stay in the situation.
And as I reflect on it back, and I'm perfectly content and complete with what happened, she's a great person. We spent years together, but it just didn't work. She's a very beautiful human being, but it just didn't work. And there was several things that she said to me over the years where, that just stand out that are poignant to what we're talking about here. I said, I can't make you happy. Anything I ever did wasn't good enough. It always seemed like it was always an empty thing. And it was always framed in such a way where I took it personal.
Well, and that's exactly what I was going to say. You kept thinking you were the problem, but the problem is you didn't realize it was compatibility. And there's nothing wrong with her. She was truly being honest with you, telling you this is what she doesn't want.
Right.
And that's hard, but you got to commend her too, because people don't understand. Sometimes people got to break your heart to tell you it's not working for you.
Right.
And it's not that they want to do that, but how the hell else you get rid of something you don't want?
Well,
sorry, car, you don't have intermittent wipers. And then they got a fucking change. So bye-bye.
After the car went off the manufacturing line, you can't say, hey, where are my wipers?
Yeah, exactly.
You can't do that. It doesn't work that way.
It just, but the car truly had to say, okay, bitch, we got a part. I'm going to go be with a teenage kid that doesn't know nothing about intermittent wipers and we'll be okay over here. And you go find whatever the hell you're looking for. I mean, but it's not easy. It's not easy. It's not easy, but just like that couple in the clubhouse, they're talking about how he fell in love with her, but he didn't because he was married and holding a commitment. And then he's mad at his ex-wife because she realized he ain't all there and he can't forgive whatever she did. But he got the blessing. He got the blessing. He got the girl he always wanted. So, but yet you're going to hold a grudge? Holding a grudge against somebody else when, look, if that didn't happen, you wouldn't meet the girlfriend that you have now.
Oh.
Like, take that for example. Take that as a oh shit, and check yourself at the door and make sure that she's happy. Do you like flowers? You don't like flowers,
And I remember in the beginning there was something that said to me. She goes, "Hey, I am the way that I am, and I'm not going to change." And I was like taken back by that statement.
But she was being honest, and you didn't even know it.
Correct. But also though it was like, okay.
So you were a challenge. You're like, oh, I'm gonna make this shit work.
No, but number one, it was something I've never heard before.
Yeah.
Because I'm of an abundance mindset where it's like, hey, if you want to change your life, if you want to transform your world, there's availability of that. But you got to choose it and you got to do the work, right? But then glass half empty, glass half full kind of came into it, and I'm like, I was just taken back by somebody that with their heels firmly in the ground and their feet, with concrete, saying, I am the way I am, and this is what it is.
Yeah.
To me, that's toxic.
Yeah, but you do the same thing though too, Brian. You're like, no, this is my standards, and I know that from you too. So
no, but here's the thing: is it might be something I say, but I'm always trying to get better.
Yeah,
I'm not making a definitive statement by saying this is the way it is, and I'm not going to change.
Yeah,
and that's it.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, it goes to show you she's probably had a level of intermittent wiper cars or something. Say these are my options now.
Well,
so
we need to We need a project to talk about, all the different various parts of a car and assign them to human being qualities or
So,
relationship
so
qualities.
all I'm
And
saying is she
she's got a
already had
flat tire.
she she had her she had her rendition of the shit she didn't want to put up with anymore. Is really what it came down to.
Well,
And so she was putting her flag down. This is the way it is.
well, in my opinion, I think it's she doesn't want to do anything. She wants a man to show up, perfectly ready and able, but she doesn't have to, sacrifice or wanna, I don't know,
Right.
be
She
flexible.
wasn't right. She wasn't ready to give into a relationship because I'll tell you what, when you are in love, you will learn how to cook. You will learn how to do things that would please your partner or be a part of. I mean, when you're in love, you will compromise,
Well,
you
I
will
mean,
do
I mean,
things.
heck,
And,
you're having dinner and you're on your phone. I mean, good Lord. I mean, just out of common courtesy and respect, you don't freaking pick up your phone and like try to do business and whatnot.
no, but if they do or you do, it's because you're really not into them. That's what that really means.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's really what it means. Like for my birthday, I went out on a date with a guy that actually was a jerk to me before that. And like, when I saw how the relationship was going, I'm like, shit, where's my phone? Let me talk to my friend Steve. And he got pissed. Speaking of Steve, yeah, this is
Steve's here.
oh, you see, there you go. Hey Steve, welcome. Hey Larry,
Wow.
welcome for being here.
Hey, Larry.
So
Mr.
so
Casey is here.
so no, so seriously, you can't,
Hey,
not
Steve, I'd be interested. Could you please share what, just the, little context behind your situation? I'd love to hear what
I
happened to
probably know
you.
it just as good as he does, but we'll see what he
Oh, okay.
writes down. If not, I'll just use it as a situation and I won't mention you, Steve. No, but
Yeah, there's this
seriously,
one guy named Sam.
yeah, no, but seriously, if you see shit like that going and you're not compromising, then there's no interest there. There's, that person's not really into you, or you just know that you're gonna be good friends or whatever,
I mean,
and
when
you
I
can't make that person happy.
no, and what I realize is that like I felt more like takes a while to process information sometimes. Absolutely.
Yeah,
She was definitely a logical thinker. When there was points of disagreement or struggle, she just needed some time because that's how she's wired. Like for
yeah.
me, I just want to complete this and move on, take the necessary actions, whatever that is, and to move on. But that's not how everybody ticks.
Yeah.
And
Well,
there
I
has to
am.
be a patience and
Yeah.
a respect there.
Yeah. Well, I'm definitely one, and I think it's a girl thing. I'll blame it on a girl thing, but I do. Well, no, because I know some girls would fly off the freaking handle for nothing, and they're not even Puerto Rican like I am. So,
So is that a
I
check for girls or no check?
no, no, no,
Oh.
it's not. But seriously, the fact that when you go ahead and process things, for me, I have to take a step back for a minute and digest it and regurgitate it in a package that's not all discombobulated like my mind thoughts would be at first. I'd be like, blah, 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 and that shit just doesn't work either. But seriously, and checking yourself because I mean, when you've done some self development, you got to realize, okay, what part of it is yours and your own thing, and what's the part of everything else. And, there's just so much to a relationship. There's always that honeymoon state where everything seems great,
Yep.
and then when you realize, shit, this is the person I'm picking, what things can I compromise with? What can't I, and those love languages, learning which way somebody resonates, because if they don't like your cards and flowers, Brian, I mean, shit, you better find another hobby because that ain't gonna work. What's the point of doing it if you're really in love with this person?
Yeah. I one more thing about that is I remember the first time that we met, and this was I was reminded of this, but it's just not me. Okay. I am I'm honest, I'm upfront, but I'm not a schmoozer. What I would consider schmoozing is like in the beginning, opening up car doors for women. That's not me. Rolling out the red carpet.
So
That's
you
not
don't do
me.
that at all? You don't open doors for women at all?
If I'm with them, yes, but not just first time I ever met. Like I'm
So
not.
you're
That's not
either
me.
ingrained to do that or not. So yeah, I get
No.
that. So it's not
And
you. Okay.
I remember where it was like that girl's like, wow, I thought you didn't like me because you didn't walk me to my car. And I'm like, I just didn't walk you to your car. Why are you making me the
No, but
butt of it?
there
Yeah.
are some guys that care enough whether they like the girl or not, just to be, like, I don't want them to, you know, get hurt on my watch kind of thing, or they're not. I mean, I see some guys do that and they have no intention but just to be a nice guy. So I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, but
I mean,
she,
I make up for it in other ways, but it was just interesting because about how maybe she was raised or her ideal man or what she witnessed in her past that would lead one to believe that if he doesn't do this, that signifies this,
right.
you
Well,
know?
shit, at least she told you.
Right. And it was like, oh, you must not like me because you don't open up my car door. Like, I could easily perceive that as being a little too strong or maybe a little bit creepy
Yeah.
to some women. And it's like, do I really want to go there? You know, just ask what the other person likes. Absolutely. But it's like also though, like I'd rather have an element of surprise or an element of just taking a risk, right?
Yeah.
That's my styles to take risk, you know. And if they don't like it, okay, you just don't do it again. It doesn't mean that you get your hand slapped and
Maybe you do, Brian.
well, at least in classrooms they've gone away with a ruler on the knuckles, so we're okay there. So
Oh my god.
with our time remaining, Steve, if please share if you wouldn't mind, so I can connect to your story that's similar. And then the final one, and this is the one that works best, right? And whatever it takes, whether people are just naturally this way or whether they are willing to do that because they see the beauty in it. And that is a relationship of connection and connection. And so what that is that everybody, they do their job, they work, but the time that they spend together, whatever it may be, those are the ones that nurture the best success and health for relationships, is when it doesn't matter how much work is going on or whatever, they find time to make that their bond, their love for each other, the time they spend together. It's non-negotiable, like the success of date nights, and it just becomes like that's the foundation for everything dealing with a great relationship. Is there's one of connection where you want to surprise that person, you want to love them, you want to tell you want to open up your heart to that person, and that's a lifelong journey, but it has to be with the right person. So
Absolutely.
that is what Mel talks about, and I connect to that like in a great way because I'm a very interactive person. I'm a risk taker, I'm a very silly person. If I have to be the the guy with the dunce cap on to make somebody else laugh, I'll do it because that's who I am, right? But then it's also a gauge about, can I talk to this person? Because if they're stern and I see the veins in their neck stand up, it's like, okay, all right, nothing wrong with this person. It's just not somebody I can engage with, and I go on with my day. So COVID-19 was the best time I spent with my son. Wonderful. Absolutely. So all I can say about this example and this concept, maybe this thought process that Mel Robbins came up with, to me, it's made a huge difference. And I think you can do the same in every area of your life, that, like groups, like community groups, right? It's like, if somebody's just in a power position to be in a power position, but they're really not any good at it, that's somebody that is striving for a power. Like they want people to bow down to them or whatever. To me, that's done for the wrong reasons,
Right.
because you can still be a powerful person, but without having to have the status.
Yeah. Well, and that's just it. I mean, that whole connection thing, you have to have a fundamentally, connection. I mean, you know, whether you're attracted to them or not, you have the right options, you know, being able to communicate is definitely key.
Mm-hmm.
And so I think that's why I like being by myself right now. It's like, that's communication. No, just kidding. I'm just working on me and getting me in order before I can be better for anybody else, So, I mean,
It just blows my doors off that, life is pretty dang simple, but as human beings in this 3 pounds of matter up here,
we try to make it complicated.
absolutely. Right.
Yeah. And there's a lot of avoidance at times too.
Yeah.
People connect and they know it's a good thing, but they go ahead and avoid the obvious because they're always still trying to find find other things. And, relationships like that don't work either. So,
Well, and especially when, if you're the first person to to take accountability or to take ownership of it, what's the worst that can happen? Right? It doesn't work, right?
right.
But if you're willing to take the ownership, or to initiate, right? Like,
Well,
hey, let's go on this vacation, or let's do this. It's like you're in action versus getting into the spiral of thinking about it, right?
right.
Thinking doesn't make things happen in the world. Action does.
No. And, I really feel that people need to have a gauge, whether it's good or bad, in a relationship, so that when you get a better one, you can really be grateful of the features in the relationship you do have, And there's nothing wrong with realizing that you're allowed to have options without feeling like you're putting yourself in the corner, or you're just conforming because you think your options are running out.
Mhm.
And that's not a good way to live either. So,
Well, and look at the motivation behind each one of these, right? We don't need more complexity in relationships, no matter if it's engaged, if it's work environment, if it's the neighbor down the street. Doesn't make any difference. We don't need more complexity to try to relate to people. We need more simplicity, but with greater precision, right? Like,
right.
why, and if this power versus connection can offer that to you, it's like, how am I in that relationship? Number one, defining who you are. Are you a person of power, or are you a person of connection? That's the first revealing thing. But then number two is, whoever you're thinking about or whoever you're in a relationship with, how are they? Right? I mean, we need more simplicity, not complexity.
Yeah.
And for me, it's like the using this in circumstances all over the place for every relationship, is that, what is the motivation behind somebody of power? It's entirely different than somebody of connection.
Right.
Somebody of connection wants to have fun. They feel with their heart, not with the logical side of their brain. And for me, everything I do, if my heart and gut, which I've spent many years to be in alignment, that is my guide. You know, I mean, and somebody from a logical point of view that doesn't have the emotion could look at it to be like, well, uh, that was a stupid idea or whatever. Well, wait a minute. They're up in the stands. They're not on the court.
That's right.
you
That's right.
know and
There's,
they're definitely not inside of my heart or thinking like me, because if they did, they might see it differently. Now, that's always going to be a gap for people, but the best thing in those circumstances is to try to understand instead of judge, or uh, or make somebody wrong for something that you don't understand.
no,
So power versus connection, it's a powerful thing. Mel Robbins is the one that created it, the author of the 5-second rule. I love all of her work. She's very she's very straight up, straightforward. I know that she has a couple TED Talks that have millions of views on YouTube, and just an amazing person with a lot to share. So if what we talked about today can help you, by all means, use it any way you can.
absolutely. Like I said, like you said, moving forward, you try to upgrade, not downgrade, And again, I'm still stuck with the
Those
intermittent
wipers.
wipers. I
out of,
love
out of all
analogies.
the options, do these got intermittent wipers?
Yeah. No, no. Now I've upgraded over the years.
Oh.
I almost bought a car when it didn't have Bluetooth. Like, are you freaking kidding me? Yeah. Even at the hotel I worked at, they bought a van that didn't have Bluetooth. I'm
Oh
like, are
God.
you effing kidding me? Like, you would think, just like you would think there'd be intermittent wipers, but the small shit can be a big thing. It could be like a
Well,
little freaking splitter.
there is some proof out there that shows that, obviously vehicles get more expensive. They got more bells and whistles and integration with phones and technology and video and all of that. But there's research out there that proves that no matter how many options that people get blown by, and each one of those is an enhancement to the cost of the vehicle, people are still creatures of habit, right? So it's like, ooh, they're blown away initially before they buy the vehicle that it has all these things, right? But then 30, 60, 90 days down the road, are they using all those things?
Yeah.
And the research has shown that people's behaviors and how they drive with their habits are still intact.
Oh yeah.
And so all of those things that they're, maybe not all, but a majority of the things that they're spending all that money on in addition to the price of the vehicle are things
But
they don't use
Brian,
anyway.
intermittent wipers, it's a freaking must. That's all I got to tell you.
Sure.
All right. No, just
but when people are blown away by things, and it's just like, okay, but do you actually use that thing?
oh
Because you
yeah, I
can't
do.
deny that we're creatures of habit. Like, we have to have a radio, whatever, but we don't know what we don't know about these things. And it's like, if our driving behavior is what it is, we still drive. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? How much
Yeah.
more expansive is that thing going to be?
Yeah, it's just like I haven't gone and bought a little snow plower thing because I don't feel like we have
Snowblower?
enough snow blower. Yeah, there you go. Just
Snowplower? I love it. Snowplower.
Anymore, whatever the picture my brain gives me, I'll work with. I mean, I don't give a shit.
Does this truck come with a snowplower?
Yeah, intermittent even.
With intermittent wipers, please. Snowplower and intermittent wipers. Check.
Shit.
It's right there on the sticker,
But but I'm serious because it's not something I use all the time, and I'd have to freaking still probably shovel to get to it to get it to work anyway. So it's not conducive for me. What can I tell you? No?
Sign up, Lynn, for a new snowmobile suit.
Oh shit.
So
Anyways,
our question and action step for all of you to consider is, how are you creating greater consistent connection with your partner? So if you're in a relationship, how are you creating greater consistent connection? Consistency, what you do repeatedly.
and realize that if you're in an early relationship as well, that these are important things to do on a regular basis so that when something goes down, something breaks in the system, you can go to that part and figure out what it is to make it better.
Well,
instead of trying to fish back in your memory of all the things and not seeing all the signs.
Well,
I
that's
think
just
that's
like, it's an exercise that I don't wish upon anybody, but like, let's say you break up with your partner today. What are they going to say about you? It just as a check-in that what you're committing to is what you're delivering, right?
yeah.
Do you like that person? Do you love them? Have they shown you respect? Do you like being around them, right?
Yeah.
Or is it a someday thing? It's an exercise that's weird and different, but it's also something like, what are you doing consistently? Because someday doesn't exist. And after a while, when how somebody shows up to their partner, that will eventually show up in all areas. Where once the brain determines that, oh, when that person says this, it doesn't mean anything, or I've heard that before, right? It's because there's no action on the backside of their words. So the consistency, what do you do tomorrow? What do you do the next day? Just like we talked about on our Valentine's Day show, right? Or a Valentine's Day series of shows, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's all this draw for Valentine's Day, but what do you do on February 15th? What do you do, a little
Day
over a
after.
week later?
Yeah, not the day after, not the day before. I mean, yeah, consistency is pertinent in a relationship.
So does that mean that your love wanes from, oh, I loved you on Valentine's Day and they got me for $300 worth of flowers and a nice dinner, but I love you a little less today.
Yeah, and that's just it, man. It's one of those things where if it consistently you're having friction or something's just not working right and you can't come out and talk about it, just remember, the longer you go, the worse it's going to be because you ignored the fact that there was friction. And no intermittent wipers.
That snowplower. You want the intermittent wipers, I want the snowplower.
Okay. All right.
Preferably a Boss,
Okay.
Boss snowplower, a red one.
Oh,
the last thing I'm going to say about if you're not into it as much as me, just say so. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
No, Steve.
But remember that, Steve. That also goes for you saying if you're not into it that much, you need to say so.
Right.
It goes both ways, guys and girls.
And the next statement that I want to share about the consistency ties into what you just said, Steve, is that taking action, being in touch with your heart, being in touch with your gut, right? It's a conversation, right? Now, obviously, if you're going to be the one that leads that conversation, you're in compliance with yourself about whatever comes out of their mouth, right? You may not want to hear it, but you are okay with it, right? Because the reality is, would you rather wait and hear it later, or diffuse it right away and move on, whatever it is?
Yeah, because it's really hard when you sit there and you dwell and you realize all the signs and you don't do anything about it. It really freaking fucks, oops, with your mind a little bit. So,
Oops.
oops, I did it again.
Intermittent wipers for 100.
So,
So the last thing I'm going to share before we let you go, because we're at the hour mark, is that when you're in a relationship, anything you do of an action point of view, anything you do, the time that you invest, you'll never live with regret, no matter where you are in the relationship. You'll never live with regret, because for that person, they're going to see it and feel it. Maybe not right away, but they will. But also, though, two other things.
right.
You're in integrity with yourself because you
Yeah.
said you were going to do it. But then number two is that if it doesn't work out well, you don't have to live with regret.
Yeah, we gotta check yourself. Check yourself at the door every damn
Check
day.
yourself with intermittent
And
wipers.
if there wasn't no intermittent wipers, that was your mess up. Nobody else's. Take ownership for it. And I messed up, okay? I did mess up. I'm admitting it. Took me freaking an hour to tell you that, but yeah, I admit it.
Lynn,
therefore, I did not go.
Does that truck come with a snowplower?
And intermittent wipers? To be continued.
It's got to be snowplower first, intermittent wipers
Thank
second.
you, Steve, for being here. I hope you got some value out of this. I appreciate your friendship. I love you. And I love everyone else that comes over here and sees us. And we just love being here for you guys. So until tomorrow. Oh, which? Whoa. Hold the caballos. Hold the caballos right now. Wait,
pause. Time out, everybody.
Pause.
Wait.
Pause. Pause for this. We're going to leave you with this. Tomorrow, time change.
Yep.
I hope I show up. No, noontime Wednesday, the show only for tomorrow. It's to help Brian out. Yep. I haven't asked him. Maybe he's going to go look at intermittent wipers on a truck or something. I don't know.
How did you know?
So anyways, you guys, we're going to leave you off with that. Thank you so much. We will see you tomorrow at less than 24 hours away.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
22 hours. Thank you. Bye.